Hey guys, tonight we're stepping back in time. Not just a few centuries, but to the very beginning of everything. You're floating in an inky blackness. A profound and silent nothingness. There are no stars, no sun, no earth, just space. It's the kind of emptiness that makes your heart slow down. Your breath gets shallow. You're adrift in a void so absolute. It's almost peaceful. And then, from this endless silence, you begin to feel a stir. A subtle vibration that grows into a low hum. The kind you hear when a distant train is approaching. Something is coalescing, and you probably won't survive this profound cosmic event, but hey, at least you'll get to witness it. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know where you are and what time it is, so we can all feel a little more connected as we drift into the mythical ether. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're a mote of dust in the grand scheme of creation, a witness to the birth of the universe itself. At least according to the ancient Greeks. This isn't a story about people. Not yet. This is about the very first things to exist. It all begins with chaos, which wasn't a jumbled mess but more of a gaping void. An empty chasm from which everything else would eventually spring. You feel a gentle push, a cosmic pressure, and out of this nothingness, the first beings emerge, not as living creatures you'd recognize, but as fundamental forces. There's Gaia, the earth, who is literally the ground beneath your feet. And then Uranus, the starry sky, who arches above you like a protective dome. You can feel the newness of it all. The raw, unformed potential. These two, earth and sky, are the first true powers. The parents of the universe as we know it. Now, let's fast forward a bit. To their offspring. Their first children are the Cyclops, one-eyed giants of immense power, and the Hecatoncheires, 100-handed, 50-headed beings whose strength is beyond measure. Imagine what it would be like to have 100 hands. You could get so much done. But good luck finding a pair of gloves that fit. Their father, Uranus, is, to put it mildly, not a fan. He's a bit of a paranoid helicopter parent. He sees their power and ugliness and decides they're a threat. So, in a truly terrible act of fatherhood, he shoves them back inside Gaia's womb, the very earth from which they came. Can you imagine? Being born and then immediately being put back in the cosmic attic? That's a serious case of divine claustrophobia. Gaia, as you might guess, is not happy. She's in immense pain, weighed down by her own children. She's a planet, literally, and her stomach is full of angry giants. This leads to the birth of the next generation of children. The Titans, who are different. They're not monstrous, but they are gods of immense scale and power. Born with the kind of cosmic swagger that can reshape worlds. One of them is a young, ambitious titan named Cronus. He's the youngest, but also the most willing to take a stand. His mother, Gaia, appeals to her children for help, to free their siblings and punish their tyrannical father. But they're all too scared. All except Cronus. He's got that quiet, revolutionary energy about him. Historians still argue whether this was an act of filial duty or pure ambition. But either way, he agrees to help his suffering mother. This is where the story gets a little weird and a lot metal. Gaia forges a sickle, made from flint, a simple, rough tool for a brutal task. She gives it to Cronus and tells him to wait for his father. You can almost feel the tension in the air, the kind of stillness before a storm. This primordial story, while wildly imaginative, has some interesting parallels. For instance, the ancient Egyptians also believed that the world emerged from a primordial watery chaos. Known as Nu, this concept of a formless void giving birth to existence seems to be a common thread in many ancient cosmologies, suggesting a shared human fascination with the before of everything. It's a testament to how these creation myths, while seemingly just stories, are actually our earliest attempts to answer the biggest questions. Where did we come from? How did the world begin? As you drift through this beginning, you can feel the simmering anger and betrayal. You see Cronus, hidden from his father's gaze, holding that flint sickle, the first weapon of its kind. He's not a hero yet, just a vengeful son, but this one act is about to change the entire cosmic order. You can feel the tension in the very fabric of existence, as if the universe itself is holding its breath. The night is quiet, the starry sky is Uranus himself. unaware of the rebellion growing beneath him. And the earth is Gaia, groaning in silent anticipation. It's a quiet, cold night, the kind that feels like the end of one age and the beginning of another. And you, little mortal, are right in the middle of it. The stage is set. You are now a silent witness to a cosmic power struggle that makes even the most dramatic family dinner look tame. Young Cronus, the Titan, has the flint sickle, a weapon forged from the very earth he stands on. His father, Uranus, the starry sky, descends each night to lie with Gaia. You can almost feel the weight of his cosmic embrace. The silent pressure of the sky meeting the land. It's a moment of false peace. A moment when the cosmos seems to be in balance. But beneath the surface, a rebellion is brewing. Cronus, hiding in the shadows, waits. He is the quiet force of change. The one who has had enough of his father's tyranny. This act is the mythical equivalent of a palace coup. A changing of the guard on a scale so grand it will echo through all of eternity. And then it happens. In a single, shocking act, Cronus uses the sickle. He castrates his father, and the sky recoils in agony. You can feel the pain ripple through the very fabric of existence. Uranus's blood, or ichor, which is what the gods have instead of blood, spills onto the earth. From this divine splatter, new beings are born. The Erinyes or Furies, goddesses of vengeance, spring into existence. Their purpose to punish those who commit acts of patricide. It's a bit like a cosmic security system, do something awful. And the universe itself creates something to hunt you down. The giants are also born from this blood, as are the Meliae, the ash tree nymphs. It's a bizarre and brutal birth. But in Greek myth, the most violent acts often give rise to new life. Think of it as the ultimate messy divorce, with cosmic custody battles and new creatures emerging from the fallout. Now, with Uranus out of the picture, Cronus is free. He becomes the new ruler of the cosmos, the king of the gods and titans. His first act? He frees his siblings, the Cyclops and the Hecatoncheires, from their subterranean prison. For a moment, it looks like a happy ending. A family reunited, a tyrant overthrown. You might think, okay, he learned his lesson. He's a good guy now. But that's not how power works. Especially not in a universe built on paranoia and prophecy. Cronus, having betrayed his own father, now fears the very same thing happening to him. A prophecy from Gaia and the dying Uranus echoes in his mind. One of his own children will rise up and overthrow him. It's a chilling bit of foreshadowing. A repeating pattern of fear and violence. To prevent this, Cronus starts doing something truly horrifying. As his children are born from his union with his sister, Rhea, he swallows them whole. One by one, he consumes them. First, Hestia, then Demeter, then Hera, then Hades, and finally Poseidon. He's not a monster because he's hungry. He's a monster because he is terrified of his own downfall. You can almost see him, the great Titan King, with a haunted look in his eyes, gulping down his newborn children like they're a snack. It's a dark, repetitive ritual. Each birth is a moment of hope, and each swallowing is a moment of profound despair for poor Rhea. She's a mother who gives birth only to have her children taken and consumed by their own father. It's a kind of grief that has no human equivalent. This act of cannibalism is a core part of the myth, but it has some fascinating historical context. Many ancient cultures, including the Hittites, had a similar succession myth where a younger god overthrew an older one, often through violence. The Greek myth of Cronus and Uranus seems to be part of a broader Indo-European tradition of sky gods being challenged by a younger, more dynamic deity. This isn't just a bedtime story. It's a reflection of how ancient societies viewed the cycles of power and the inevitability of change. What's also interesting is that the act of swallowing his children is a metaphor for Cronus's fear of time itself. Cronus is the god of time, and in a way, he is literally consuming the future. Historians still argue whether this was a fundamental aspect of his identity or a later addition to the myth. But the imagery is powerful. He is trying to stop the march of time, to prevent his own story from progressing to its inevitable end. As you stand here, watching this cycle of violence repeat itself, you can feel Rhea's desperation. She has lost 5 children to her husband's monstrous fear. Her sorrow is a palpable presence in the air, a silent scream that the cosmos can't hear. She is a mother at the end of her rope, with one last chance to save a child and, in doing so, to save the world from this reign of terror. This next birth is her final gambit. She knows if this one fails, there will be no one left to challenge the paranoid king who eats his own kids. It's the last hope of a weary universe. The air around you feels thick with despair. You've witnessed the parade of births and swallowings, and you can sense the immense grief radiating from Rhea. She's the queen, the mother of gods, but she is also a victim of her husband's paranoia. Cronus, the new king, sits on his throne on Mount Othrys, the seat of Titan power, a looming shadow of fear. His reign is known as the Golden Age, a time of perfect harmony and prosperity, for everyone except the family of the ruling couple. It seems, the paradox is not lost on you. The most peaceful era in the universe is founded on a cycle of endless violence and betrayal. The irony is as thick as a winter fog. Now, as you float in this mythological realm, you watch as Rhea goes into labor with her sixth child. She's tired, and her heart is heavy with the loss of Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. She knows what will happen the moment the child is born. Cronus will be there, waiting with that hungry, terrified look in his eyes. But this time, she has a plan. She goes to her parents, Gaia and Uranus, the very foundation of the world, for guidance. You hear her whispers, filled with desperation, as she pleads for a way to save this last, precious child. Gaia, who has suffered her own share of betrayal and imprisonment, feels for her daughter. She gives Rhea a secret place to go, a sanctuary far from the prying eyes of Cronus. Rhea travels in secret to the island of Crete, a place of rugged mountains and deep caves. The journey is tense, a hushed race against time. You can feel the urgency in every step she takes. This is a mother's last stand, a final act of defiance. The island itself seems to be holding its breath, waiting for the moment of creation. When she gives birth, it is a quiet affair, a stark contrast to the dramatic, world-shattering births of the other gods. She names the child Zeus. He is born in a secluded cave on Mount Ida, a place so hidden and remote that it feels like the last safe place in the universe. She immediately wraps him in swaddling clothes, hiding him from sight. But her plan isn't complete yet. She needs a convincing substitute for Cronus to swallow. She finds a large rock, a boulder of significant size, and wraps it tightly in the same kind of swaddling blankets she used for her son. The rock looks surprisingly like an infant in the right light, especially if you're a paranoid, time-devouring titan who isn't really looking that closely. She carries this rock child back to Mount Othrys, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and hope. She presents it to Cronus. You can almost feel the deception in the air. Cronus, a creature of habit and fear, takes the wrapped bundle and, without a second thought, swallows the rock whole. It is a moment of profound stupidity on his part, born of his overwhelming terror. He believes he has once again cheated fate, but he has actually just set his own doom in motion. He has consumed a rock, not a god, and the prophecy remains unfulfilled. This act of deceit is a core part of the story, but it's also a powerful metaphor. The Greeks often used stories of divine trickery to explain the workings of the world. In this case, it's a reminder that pure force and power are not always enough to win. Sometimes, a clever plan and a little bit of deception are more effective. It also highlights the different roles of the gods. While Cronus represents brute, unthinking power, Rhea embodies cunning and maternal protection. Historians still argue whether this myth was a simple morality tale or a more complex allegory for the rise of human intellect over brute force. Meanwhile, back on Crete, the infant Zeus is safe. Rhea entrusts him to a group of caretakers. A goat named Amalthea nurses him with her milk, and a group of nymphs, the Meliae, watch over him, to keep his crying from being heard by Cronus. A group of male warrior dancers called the Kourites perform a loud, rhythmic dance, banging their shields together to drown out any sound. The noise is a rhythmic clang, a constant, low-level war cry that acts as a kind of lullaby for the future king of the gods. It's a surreal and beautiful image, a baby god being raised in a cave, surrounded by clanging shields and the gentle bleating of a goat. It's a humble beginning for a being who will one day rule the entire cosmos. You find yourself in a place of quiet solitude, a far cry from the loud, clanging world you just left. You're now on the island of Crete, a witness to the secret upbringing of the young god Zeus. The cave is a sanctuary, a womb of the earth where the future of the cosmos is being nurtured. It's a humble, peaceful existence. You can hear the gentle bleating of the goat, Amalthea, as she suckles the infant god, her milk a source of divine nourishment. The goat's horn would one day become the cornucopia, the horn of plenty, a symbol of endless abundance. It's a nice little detail, the kind of thing that reminds you how every small act of kindness in a myth can have a big, beautiful outcome. Around the cave, the nymphs, the Meliae, flit and dance, bringing him honey and singing him quiet songs. The sound of the coyotes is a constant, rhythmic backdrop. Their shields clang together, a low, pounding drumbeat that drowns out the baby's cries. It's a strange, dissonant lullaby, a lullaby of war to protect a god of peace. For now, this blend of nurturing and a constant threat of violence is the central theme of Zeus's childhood. He is loved and protected, but the reason for that protection is a terrifying father who would eat him without a second thought. This isn't a leisurely upbringing, it's a military operation, a clandestine mission to save the universe. As Zeus grows, you can see his power beginning to manifest. He's not a tiny, helpless infant anymore. He's a young, muscular god, full of boundless energy and divine potential. He practices his strength, throwing lightning bolts, not yet the powerful weapons they will become, but small, crackling flashes of light. He's learning to control his power, much like a young boy learning to control his muscles. You can feel the raw potential in the air around him, a buzzing static that promises future storms and great deeds. He is a child of the earth, but a ruler of the sky. Meanwhile, back on Mount Othrys, Cronus is blissfully unaware. He believes he has won, that he has swallowed all of his children and cheated fate. He rules over the Golden Age, a time when mortals on Earth live in a state of eternal spring, free from war, toil, or old age. This era, while seemingly a utopia, is founded on a lie and a terrible act of violence. The tranquility of the mortal world is a stark contrast to the divine family drama. Historians still argue whether the concept of the Golden Age in Greek mythology was meant to be a nostalgic look back at a simpler time or a subtle critique of a false sense of peace, one that could only be maintained through tyranny. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, but it's interesting to think about. The myth of Zeus's secret childhood is a recurring theme in many heroic tales. The idea of a great hero being raised in secret, far from his enemies, is a powerful and popular narrative. Think of stories like Superman, or even the biblical story of Moses. This archetype, the hidden savior, speaks to a deep human desire for a new beginning, a fresh start unburdened by the sins of the past. Zeus's story is a foundational example of this. He isn't born into power, he earns it through cunning and a long, patient wait. This is a subtle yet crucial point. He is not a simple usurper, but a liberator, a figure who will right the wrongs of the previous generation. As Zeus grows to maturity, the time for action draws near. The quiet, peaceful existence on Crete is coming to an end. The sound of the clanging shields is no longer a lullaby, but a call to arms. He knows his story, his parents, and the terrible fate of his siblings. The time has come for him to leave his sanctuary, to face the father who tried to consume him, and to take his rightful place. The transition from peaceful boy to vengeful god is a palpable shift. You can see the determination in his eyes, the resolve in his posture. He is no longer just a protected child, he is a force of nature ready to be unleashed. The Golden Age is about to end, and a new, more turbulent era is about to begin. The universe is about to feel the first tremors of the great war that will change everything. As you watch the young god grow, you can feel the quiet tension building. Zeus is no longer a child, he is a force of nature, a god in his own right, brimming with the power of the sky. He's ready to leave his idyllic but temporary sanctuary on Crete. But he can't just storm Mount Othrys and demand the throne. That would be a fool's errand. He knows that his father, Cronus, is a formidable opponent, a titan of immense strength. And Zeus's power, while great, is not yet fully formed. He needs a plan, and he needs allies. He travels in secret, disguised, back to the world of mortals and titans. He's not the infant from the cave anymore, he is a handsome young man, with a quiet intensity that hints at the lightning he controls. His first stop is not Mount Othrys, but a place of cunning and knowledge. He seeks out the Titaness Métis, the goddess of wisdom and foresight. She is not a fighter, but she is a thinker. And Zeus knows that true power lies not just in strength, but in cleverness. You can sense the respect in his demeanor as he approaches her. A young god seeking the wisdom of an elder. Métis recognizes him, not just as the son of Rhea, but as the one destined to end the age of the Titans. She agrees to help him. Her plan is simple, elegant, and perfectly devious. She concocts a special potion, a mixture of mustard and wine, with a dash of something else, something divine and magical. This potion is not a poison, it is an emetic, a substance designed to make Cronus regurgitate everything he has swallowed. It's a bit like giving someone a terrible stomach flu, but on a cosmic scale. You can almost see the mischievous glint in her eyes as she explains the plan. This is not a direct confrontation, but an act of psychological warfare, a way to make Cronus defeat himself. Now for the next step, getting the potion to Cronus. Zeus can't just walk up to his father and say, "Hey, drink this." He has to be cunning. He disguises himself, using his divine powers of transformation, and presents himself as a new cupbearer at his father's palace. The role of a cupbearer was a position of great trust in ancient courts. A powerful and symbolic job. For Zeus, it's the perfect cover. He is serving the very god he plans to overthrow. It's a classic spy movie trope, but with gods and lightning bolts. Cronus, arrogant and unsuspecting, welcomes the new servant. He has no idea that the young man pouring his wine is the son he believes he swallowed years ago. You can feel the tension in the air as Zeus performs his duties. Every pour is a risk, every moment a step closer to his goal. He waits for the perfect moment, a time when Cronus is relaxed and not paying attention. He pours the wine and the potion into his father's cup. Cronus, a creature of habit, drinks it down. The effect is almost instantaneous. The potion works, and the Titan King begins to retch and heave. He vomits up, one by one, all the children he had swallowed. First, the rock he had mistaken for Zeus, and then his siblings. In the reverse order of their consumption, Poseidon, then Hades, then Hera, then Demeter, and finally Hestia. They emerge not as infants, but as fully grown gods and goddesses. This scene is a whirlwind of chaos and reunion. You can see the confusion in the eyes of the young gods. They have been imprisoned inside their father for their entire existence. A bizarre, divine form of cosmic timeout. Now they are free, and they have no love for the father who tried to destroy them. The family reunion is less a happy hug fest and more a tense meeting of future co-conspirators. They look at Zeus, their savior, with a mixture of awe and gratitude. He has freed them, and in doing so, has created an army. This moment is a huge turning point, a shift from the age of Titans to the age of the Olympians. It is a story of liberation and revolution, and it has some interesting historical context. The act of a son overthrowing a tyrannical father is a theme found in many mythologies. It's often seen as a reflection of societal shifts, where old power structures are replaced by new, more dynamic ones. The Greeks were not the only ones who had these tales. For instance, historians still argue whether the story of Zeus and Cronus reflects a historical shift from agricultural, earth-based religions to a new belief system centered on a sky god. The myth could be an allegorical representation of real-world power changes, a way to make sense of a new world order. The reunion on Mount Othries is a chaotic, joyous, and tense affair. The gods who were so recently imprisoned inside their father's stomach are free. Blinking in the new light of day, Zeus stands before them, a hero and a brother, the one who saved them from a terrible fate. But this is not the end of the story. It is only the beginning of a much larger conflict. The Titans are still in power, and their king, Cronus, is enraged. He has been humiliated, and his children have rebelled. The Great War, the Titanomachy, is about to begin. You can feel the air crackle with static electricity, a silent prelude to the storm to come. The world is now divided. On one side are the new gods, the Olympians, led by Zeus. They are young, agile, and full of a desperate energy. On the other side are the Titans, the old gods, led by Cronus. They are ancient, powerful, and deeply rooted in the very fabric of the earth. The battlefield is not a single plane, but the entire cosmos. Mount Othries is the stronghold of the Titans, while the Olympians make their home on Mount Olympus, a mountain so tall it touches the heavens. This gives them a strategic high ground. a perfect place to launch their lightning bolts from. The war rages for 10 long years. It's a decade of endless, brutal conflict. You can feel the earth itself shaking from the clashes. The Titans, with their immense strength, hurl mountains at the Olympians. The Olympians, with their new powers, respond with lightning, storms, and earthquakes. The war is a cosmic stalemate, a tug of war that seems to have no end. Neither side can gain the upper hand. The conflict is a true test of endurance, a long, drawn-out battle that leaves the world scarred and weary. During this endless war, Zeus realizes he needs more power, more allies. He remembers the forgotten monsters from the beginning of time. He makes his way to Tartarus, the deepest, darkest pit of the underworld, the place where Uranus had imprisoned the Cyclops and the Hecatoncheires. The Cyclops were beings of immense power, with a single eye in the center of their forehead, and the Hecatoncheires were the 100-handed, 50-headed giants. They have been locked away for eons. But Zeus, in a show of good faith and wisdom, releases them. You can almost feel the chains falling away. The immense relief of these long-suffering creatures. In return for their freedom, they pledge their loyalty to Zeus and the Olympians. The Cyclops, as masters of smithing, are a huge asset. They present Zeus with a gift, the thunderbolt, a weapon of unparalleled power. This isn't a small flash of light anymore, it's a true weapon. A spear of concentrated lightning that can shatter mountains and incinerate enemies. They also give Hades the helmet of darkness, which makes the wearer invisible, and Poseidon a trident that can shake the earth and stir the seas. These new weapons are a game changer. The tide of the war is about to turn. The Olympians are no longer just fighting, they are now equipped to win. The Hecatoncheires, with their 100 hands, are the ultimate brawlers. They don't need fancy weapons, they just need rocks. They stand on Mount Olympus and hurl boulders at the Titans below. A continuous shower of destruction that no one can withstand. It's a logistical nightmare for the Titans. Like trying to fight a 100-handed, 50-headed rainstorm. Their sheer size and raw power are enough to turn the tide. This period of the myth, the Titanomachy, has some interesting historical context. The ancient Greeks didn't just tell these stories for entertainment, they also used them to explain their world. The 10-year war could be seen as an allegory for the long and difficult process of nation building and the establishment of a new political order. The Greeks understood that new governments don't just appear out of thin air. They often have to fight for their right to exist. Historians still argue whether the Titanomachy was a reflection of real-world conflicts or a purely metaphorical story about the transition from a primal, chaotic world to a more ordered, civilized one. With the new allies and the powerful weapons, the Olympians finally gain the upper hand. The war is no longer a stalemate. The Titans, old and weary, begin to fall. The new age is dawning, and the old one is about to be buried. The Great War, the Titanomachy, has reached its climax. You can feel the shift in power, a fundamental change in the universe's gravity. With the Cyclops forging weapons and the Hecatoncheires hurling mountains, the Olympians have finally gained a decisive advantage. The Titans, old and weary, are overwhelmed. This isn't just a battle of strength anymore, it's a battle of technology and strategy. The Olympians, with their new tools and youthful energy, are proving to be the more dynamic force. But the Titans don't go down without a fight. In a final, desperate act, Gaia, the very Earth herself, summons a new generation of monsters to aid her sons. She gives birth to the giants, immense beings of great strength and fury. They are not just big, they are beings of raw, primordial earth. Their purpose is simple: to fight the gods and restore the old order. This new conflict is known as the Gigantomachy, or the War of the Giants. It's a bit confusing. I know, the War of the Titans, and then the War of the Giants. Think of it as a sequel, but with even bigger monsters and a lot more drama. The giants are a formidable threat. They are immune to the weapons of the gods, at least in some myths, because they are made of earth. The gods learn that they can only be defeated if they are struck by both a god and a mortal at the same time. This is a crucial rule of the battle and a fascinating detail. It highlights the importance of humanity in the grand scheme of things. Even the gods, in all their power, can't win this war alone. They need help from the smaller, more fragile beings of the world. This is where a mortal hero named Heracles, or Hercules, as you probably know him, comes in. He is the son of Zeus, and he will play a pivotal role in the final battle. The gods and giants clash in a new, even more brutal conflict. The battlefield is littered with new creatures of chaos and destruction. The giants are a different kind of enemy from the titans. They are not just powerful, they are elemental, embodying the wild and untamed aspects of the world. They throw burning trees and mountains at the gods, causing destruction on a massive scale. You can feel the world being torn apart, the ground groaning in agony. It's a war for the very soul of the cosmos, a final showdown between order and chaos. Another key figure in this era is the monster Typhon. He is a truly terrifying creature, a serpent-like beast with 100 heads, whose voice is a cacophony of animal sounds, the roar of a lion, the hiss of a snake, the baying of a hound. He is the ultimate symbol of the wild, untamed chaos that existed before the gods established their rule. He is so powerful that he even manages to defeat the gods for a brief time. He steals Zeus's thunderbolts and Achilles' tendons. A bizarre and slightly comical scene, but one that shows the immense threat he poses. Zeus, wounded and humiliated, must recover his strength. With the help of the other gods, he confronts Typhon in a final, climactic battle. The fight is a spectacle of epic proportions. The sky turns black, the seas boil, and the earth shakes. Zeus, now fully recovered, unleashes the full might of his thunderbolts. He hurls them at Typhon, one after another, until the monster is finally defeated and buried beneath Mount Etna. The mountain itself becomes a symbol of Typhon's imprisonment, its fiery eruptions a sign of his unending rage. The defeat of Typhon and the giants marks the end of the wars. The Olympians have won, the old order is gone, and a new one has been established. This era of myth, with its chaotic monsters and epic battles, has some interesting historical context. Many ancient civilizations had myths about a great flood or cataclysmic event that reset the world, clearing the way for a new beginning. Historians still argue whether the Greek myths of the Great Wars were a way to explain natural disasters, like earthquakes and volcanoes, or a symbolic story about the triumph of a new social and political order over the old, wild ways. In any case, the universe is now a different place. The age of primal chaos is over, and the age of divine order is about to begin. The new rulers of the cosmos are ready to take their thrones. The cosmic dust has settled. The Great War, the Titanomachy, is over, and the Olympians have emerged victorious. But now, a new problem arises. Who gets to rule? With Cronus and the old Titans defeated, there is a power vacuum. The three most powerful brothers, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, must now decide who gets to be king, and how the new world will be divided. It's a very high-stakes game of cosmic rock-paper-scissors, with the fate of the entire universe hanging in the balance. They don't get into a fistfight or a shouting match. Instead, in a show of divine order and civilized behavior, they decide to settle it with a lottery. They write down the three major realms on slips of paper: the sky, the sea, and the underworld, and put them into a helmet. You can almost feel the tension as they each reach in to pull their lot. This is a crucial moment, a peaceful resolution to a war that was anything but. It's a powerful symbol of the new order they're trying to create. One based on rules and fairness, not just on brute force. Zeus pulls the lot for the sky, and with it, the right to rule as king of the gods and the universe. His dominion is the heavens, the thunder, and the lightning. He is the supreme ruler, the one who watches over all. He is also considered the chief among the gods, so he gets to live on Mount Olympus, the highest and most sacred mountain in Greece. His throne is a place of power and authority, a seat of judgment from which he will dispense divine justice. He is the one who will maintain order in the new world, a stark contrast to his tyrannical father, who only knew chaos. Poseidon draws the lot for the sea. He becomes the god of the oceans, the rivers, and all the waters of the world. He is a powerful and temperamental god, a bit like the seas he rules. When he is happy, the waters are calm, and when he is angry, he can cause earthquakes and storms. He is a master of the seas, and his trident, a gift from the Cyclops, is the symbol of his power. His kingdom is vast and mysterious, filled with strange and wonderful creatures. Hades gets the short straw. Literally, he draws the lot for the underworld, the dark and silent realm of the dead. It's not a punishment. per se, but it's certainly not as glamorous as ruling the sky or the sea. He becomes the king of the dead, a somber and solitary figure. He is not a villain, as he is often portrayed in modern media, but a ruler of a different kind. His domain is vast and filled with the souls of mortals who have passed on. He is a quiet and dignified ruler, rarely leaving his kingdom. While these three brothers get the major realms, the other gods also get their roles. Hera becomes the queen of the gods and Zeus's wife. Demeter becomes the goddess of the harvest, and Hestia becomes the goddess of the hearth and home. A quiet but incredibly important role. This division of power establishes the new cosmic order, with each god having a distinct and important role to play. It's a new system, one based on shared rule rather than on the whims of a single tyrant. This act of division and order is a key moment in Greek mythology. It marks the end of the age of chaos and the beginning of a new, more organized world. This concept of a structured divine bureaucracy has some interesting parallels. Many ancient civilizations had a similar pantheon of gods with different roles, each one responsible for a different aspect of life. For instance, ancient Egyptians had a variety of gods who ruled over different aspects of life, like the sun, the Nile, and the afterlife. This reflects a human need to categorize and understand the world, to give a face and a personality to the forces that govern their lives. Historians still argue whether the Greek pantheon was a purely original creation or if it was heavily influenced by older Mesopotamian or Egyptian myths. With the new order established, Zeus takes his throne on Mount Olympus. He is now the supreme ruler, and his reign, while not perfect, will usher in a new era of relative peace and order. The story of his rise to power is complete, and now the story of his rule, with all its triumphs and troubles, can begin. With the cosmos now officially divided, a new era begins. Zeus is king of the gods and ruler of the sky. But ruling is not a quiet or easy job, especially for a new god with a taste for adventure and a massive family. Zeus's story doesn't end with his ascent to the throne, it truly begins there. With all the power, politics, and, as you're about to see, the many romantic entanglements that come with the job. First, let's talk about his relationships. Zeus is married to his sister, Hera, who becomes the queen of the gods. Their relationship is, to put it mildly, a complicated one. They are a powerful divine couple, and they have children together. But Zeus is, shall we say, not a one-woman kind of god. The myth of Zeus's many affairs is a central part of his story and a source of constant drama on Mount Olympus. He has countless lovers, both goddesses and mortals, and this often makes for some truly bizarre and interesting stories. Zeus is not a god who is known for his fidelity. He has a way of getting what he wants, and he's not afraid to use his divine power to do it. He has a variety of methods for seduction, which often involve disguises. He turns into a swan to woo Leda, a shower of gold to reach Danae, and a bull to abduct Europa. These are not just fun stories. They are a way to explain the origins of many heroes and royal families in the ancient Greek world. It's a bit like a cosmic game of, who's your daddy? But the answer is almost always Zeus. These affairs, of course, cause a lot of problems, especially with his wife, Hera. She is the goddess of marriage and family, so you can imagine her fury at his constant infidelity. Her jealousy is legendary and a major theme in many Greek myths. She often takes her anger out on Zeus's lovers and their children, the demigods. This creates a cycle of conflict and punishment, with Hera's vengeance driving many of the most famous Greek stories. For instance, she curses Heracles, a son of Zeus, and sends a pair of snakes to kill him in his cradle. The myth of Heracles' 12 labors is, in many ways, a direct result of Hera's constant meddling and hatred for her stepson. Now, you might be asking, why is this a thing? Why would the king of the gods be so unfaithful? Well, historians still argue whether this was meant to be a simple character flaw or if it had a deeper meaning. Some scholars suggest that Zeus's many affairs represent the assimilation of local or foreign deities into the new Olympian pantheon. As Greek city-states encountered new gods, they often incorporated them into their own myths by making them a lover of Zeus, which allowed them to become part of the new cosmic order. For example, the goddess Leto was worshipped in Asia Minor, and her inclusion in the Greek pantheon as a lover of Zeus who bore the twin gods Apollo and Artemis could be a way of integrating her worship into Greek myth. It's a very practical and political way to explain a seemingly wild mythological habit. There's also a more simple explanation: it's just a good story. The tales of Zeus's various dalliances and Hera's enraged revenge make for some of the most dramatic and entertaining narratives in all of Greek mythology. They are a reflection of human emotions on a divine scale: love, betrayal, jealousy, and revenge. And let's be honest, watching a powerful god get into a lot of trouble because he can't keep his eyes to himself is pretty relatable. Even on a cosmic level, this constant divine soap opera is a reflection of how the ancient Greeks viewed their gods, not as perfect beings, but as powerful, flawed, and very human-like figures. They were a lot like us, just with the added bonus of being able to throw lightning bolts and turn into animals. This humanization of the gods is one of the things that makes Greek mythology so enduringly fascinating. The divine domestic drama on Mount Olympus is a constant source of tension. While Zeus is busy with his countless affairs, his wife, Hera, is busy plotting her revenge. Her jealousy is not just a character trait, it is a driving force in many of the most famous myths. She is the goddess of marriage and childbirth, and her fury at Zeus's infidelity is a reflection of her core values being constantly disrespected. She feels betrayed and humiliated, and her vengeance is swift and often brutal, not just for Zeus, but for his lovers and children. One of her most famous targets is the hero Heracles, the son of Zeus and a mortal woman named Alcmene. Hera's hatred for him begins before he is even born. She tries to prevent his birth, but is thwarted by the goddess of childbirth. When he is an infant, she sends 2 snakes to his cradle, hoping they will kill him. But Heracles, a demigod even as a baby, strangles the snakes with his bare hands. This is a recurring theme in the myths. Hera's attempts to harm Heracles only prove his divine strength and make him a more formidable hero. It's a bit like a cosmic workout plan, with Hera as the angry, vengeful personal trainer. Hera's anger isn't limited to her stepchildren. She also goes after Zeus's mortal lovers. She turns Io, a priestess and a lover of Zeus, into a white heifer and sends a gadfly to torment her. The goddess is also responsible for the horrible fate of Semele, a mortal princess who is pregnant with Zeus's child. Hera, disguised as an old woman, convinces Semele to ask Zeus to reveal himself in his true form. Zeus, having promised to grant her any wish, is forced to show himself in all his lightning-filled glory. The sight of a god in his true form is too much for a mortal to bear, and Semele is incinerated. This is a tragic and cruel act of revenge, and it shows the destructive power of Hera's rage. However, Zeus manages to save the child, Dionysus, sewing him into his thigh until he is ready to be born. It's a little weird, but hey, it's Greek mythology. This theme of Hera's vengeance is not just for entertainment. It's a way for the ancient Greeks to explore complex ideas about justice, betrayal, and power. Hera is a powerful goddess, but she is also a woman who is constantly being disrespected by her husband. Her actions, while cruel, can be seen as a form of protest against the patriarchal order of the Olympian gods. She is a queen without true power, her influence constantly undermined by her husband's actions. Her revenge is a way for her to reclaim some of that power, to show the other gods and mortals that she is not to be trifled with. The relationship between Zeus and Hera is a central part of the myths, and it's a reflection of the challenges of power and partnership. They are a constant source of conflict and drama, and their relationship sets the tone for the entire Olympian family. Their fights are not just domestic squabbles, they are cosmic clashes that have a direct impact on the mortal world. For instance, when Hera gets mad at Zeus for his infidelity with the mortal Leto, she curses Leto to wander the earth. Unable to give birth on any land touched by the sun, Leto eventually finds a tiny, floating island, and gives birth to Apollo and Artemis. This myth explains the origin of a sacred site and the birth of 2 major gods, all as a result of a family spat. The constant tension between Zeus and Hera is also a way to show the flaws of the new Olympian order. While they are more organized than the Titans, they are far from perfect. They are still governed by the same human-like emotions, jealousy, pride, and lust, that they supposedly transcended. It's a subtle but important point that even the gods are not immune to the messiness of life. This humanization of the gods is what makes them so enduringly fascinating. Historians still argue whether Hera's character was an original creation or a more modern reinterpretation of a pre-existing fertility goddess. But either way, her jealousy is a central theme in many of the myths you probably already know. With the Titans defeated and the cosmos divided, Zeus takes on a new role, that of supreme judge. He is no longer just a warrior king. He is the ultimate arbiter of justice. The one who dispenses divine punishment and rewards. His reign is not just about power, but about establishing a moral and social order. He is the guardian of law and order, a role that sets him apart from the raw, unthinking power of his father, Cronus. You can almost feel the weight of his responsibility, the silent pressure of being the final word on every matter. This is a crucial shift in the story. Zeus is not just about throwing thunderbolts at his enemies, he is also about maintaining a sense of fairness. He is the one who punishes gods who break their oaths, and he is also the one who rewards mortals who are pious and just. This is a big part of his character, a central pillar of his rule. The ancient Greeks believed that Zeus was the one who saw everything, who knew when a promise was broken or a crime was committed. He was the eye in the sky, a cosmic surveillance system that kept everyone, mortal and divine, in line. A perfect example of his role as judge is his punishment of the Titan Prometheus. Prometheus, a clever and compassionate Titan who sided with Zeus in the war, steals fire from the gods and gives it to humanity. This is a monumental act, a gift that allows mortals to progress and create civilization. But it is also a direct defiance of Zeus's will. Zeus is furious. He sees this as a violation of his authority, a betrayal of trust. His punishment is brutal and eternal. Prometheus is chained to a rock, and an eagle is sent to eat his liver every day. The liver regenerates overnight, so the punishment is a cycle of unending pain. This is a powerful, albeit gruesome, example of Zeus's justice, swift, harsh, and uncompromising. But Zeus's judgment is not always just about punishment. He also dispenses rewards. He is known for rewarding mortals who are hospitable and kind to strangers, as he often wanders the earth in disguise to test humanity. A famous example is the story of Baucis and Philemon, an old, poor couple who welcome Zeus and his son Hermes, disguised as travelers, into their humble home. They offer them the best of what they have, and in return, Zeus rewards them by turning their home into a beautiful temple and granting their wish to die at the same time, turning them into intertwined trees at the end of their lives. This story is a beautiful, quiet reflection of Zeus's more compassionate side, a testament to his belief in the importance of mortal virtues. The myth of Zeus as the supreme judge has some interesting historical context. Many ancient civilizations had a similar concept of a sky god who was also a divine judge. For instance, the Babylonian god Shamash was the god of justice and the sun. This concept of a god who sees all and judges all is a way for societies to create a moral framework, a set of rules that everyone, from the lowest peasant to the most powerful king, must follow. It's a way to ensure a sense of cosmic order and fairness. Historians still argue whether the Greeks' concept of justice was an inherent part of their culture or if it was heavily influenced by the legal and political systems of their neighbors. Ultimately, Zeus's role as a judge solidifies his position as the supreme ruler. He is not just a king who inherited his power. He is a ruler who upholds a set of laws and morals. He is the foundation of the new world, a world that is more ordered and structured than the one ruled by the Titans. He is the ultimate power, the final say, and the one who ensures that the universe continues to spin in a predictable, albeit sometimes dramatic, way. The saga of Zeus continues, not just as a ruler and a judge, but as the patriarch of a huge and complicated family. His many wives and lovers are not just a footnote in his story, they are a central part of his legacy. While he is married to Hera, the queen of the gods, his many affairs with both goddesses and mortals are the stuff of legend. This is more than just a divine soap opera, it's a way to explain the origins of many of the most famous Greek heroes, demigods, and even entire royal families. Zeus's first wife was the Titaness Métis, the goddess of wisdom. She was the one who helped him overthrow his father, Cronus. However, A prophecy from Gaia warned Zeus that if Métis were to give birth to a son, he would be even more powerful than Zeus and would overthrow him. Sound familiar? To avoid this, Zeus, in an act of what you could call preemptive paranoia, swallowed Métis while she was pregnant. He was, in a very bizarre way, consuming her wisdom. Later, he developed a terrible headache, and Hephaestus, the god of the forge, split his head open with an axe. From his head sprang Athena, fully grown and armed, the goddess of wisdom and war. It's a truly wild birth story, but it shows how Zeus, once a victim of prophecy, becomes a master of it, incorporating his enemy's power into himself. After Métis, Zeus had a series of divine wives. He was married to Themis, a titaness and the goddess of divine law and order. Together they had children who represented abstract concepts, like the Horae, the seasons, and the Moirai, the fates. The three goddesses who control the threads of life. This marriage to Themis shows Zeus's commitment to establishing a new world order based on laws and not just raw power. He also had a brief fling with Eurynome, an Oceanid, who gave birth to the Charites, or the Graces, but the most famous and tumultuous marriage was to his sister, Hera. She is the goddess of marriage and family, a powerful and dignified queen, but her life is a constant series of frustrations. Zeus's endless affairs make her role as the guardian of marriage a bit of a cosmic joke. She is not a passive victim. However, her anger and jealousy are a powerful force, as you've heard, and they are responsible for many of the most famous Greek myths. She is a queen who is constantly undermined, and her vengeance is a reflection of her powerlessness and her fury. Zeus's lovers weren't just goddesses. He had countless affairs with mortal women, and their children were the demigods who populated the Greek world. One of his most famous mortal lovers was Alcmene, who gave birth to Heracles, the greatest of all Greek heroes. He also seduced Danae by turning himself into a shower of gold. And she gave birth to Perseus, the hero who would eventually slay the Gorgon Medusa. These stories are not just tales of divine lust. They are a way to explain the incredible power and achievements of these heroes. Their divine lineage made their heroic deeds believable and their stories more epic. This constant blending of the divine and the mortal has some fascinating historical context. Many ancient cultures had myths of their rulers being descended from a god or a demigod. It was a way to legitimize their rule, to give them a claim to power that was beyond question. The Roman emperors, for instance, would later claim descent from Aeneas, a Trojan hero who was the son of the goddess Aphrodite. The Greek myths of Zeus's many children served a similar purpose, linking the mortal world to the divine and giving the heroes and rulers of the time a sense of cosmic destiny. Historians still argue whether these myths were created to legitimize existing royal lines or if the royal lines later adopted the myths to solidify their power. In any case, Zeus's love life is a tangled mess, a divine soap opera that has a direct and lasting impact on the mortal world. It's a reminder that even the most powerful beings can be governed by their desires, and that their actions, both good and bad, have a ripple effect that touches everyone. The world of ancient Greece, a tapestry woven with stories of gods and mortals, is a place where every myth has a purpose, a lesson, or an explanation. The stories of Zeus are no different. He is not just the king of the gods, he is the personification of divine judgment, the ultimate arbiter of right and wrong. His role is to maintain order, a task he often performs with a mix of power, wrath, and sometimes, a quiet sense of fairness. This is a crucial element of his character that sets him apart from the brutal tyranny of his father, Cronus. Zeus's judgments are not always clear-cut. He is a god who is known for his temper, and his punishments can be swift and severe. A perfect example of this is the story of Lycaon, the king of Arcadia. Lycaon was a wicked and impious man who doubted the power of the gods. To test Zeus, he served him a meal made from the flesh of a human sacrifice. This was a grave offense, an act of sacrilege that went against all the gods stood for. Zeus, in his rage, turned Lycaon into a wolf, a punishment that was both fitting and horrifying. The myth of Lycaon is a powerful cautionary tale about hubris, the kind of arrogance that leads mortals to believe they are equal to the gods. But Zeus's punishments are not always so personal. He is also the god of justice on a grander scale. He is the one who sends floods and plagues to punish entire cities and nations for their impiety. The famous myth of the Great Flood, a story that appears in many ancient cultures, is, in the Greek version, a direct result of Zeus's disappointment with humanity. He sees that mortals have become wicked and cruel, and he decides to wipe them all out, with the exception of Deucalion and Pyrrha, a pious couple who are rewarded for their virtue. This story is a powerful reminder that while the gods can be unpredictable, they are also governed by a sense of justice, however harsh it may seem. Now, you might be thinking, this all sounds a bit like the Old Testament. And you'd be right. The concept of a supreme sky god who dispenses justice and punishes the wicked is a recurring theme in many different religions and mythologies. The Greek god Zeus, the Roman god Jupiter, and the Norse god Odin all share some of these characteristics. They are the chief gods, the keepers of law and order, and the ones who punish those who break the rules. This is a common thread in many cultures, and it suggests a shared human need for a sense of cosmic justice. A belief that there is a higher power that is watching and judging our actions. This concept of divine judgment also has some fascinating real-world parallels. The ancient Greeks often used myths to explain the world around them. For example, they believed that lightning bolts were the direct result of Zeus's anger, a visual representation of his wrath. When a city was struck by lightning, they believed it was a sign that the gods were displeased. This gave them a way to make sense of a world that was often unpredictable and violent. It gave them a sense of control, a belief that if they were pious and just, they could avoid the wrath of the gods. Historians still argue whether Zeus's role as a divine judge was an early part of his character or a later addition, a way for Greek society to create a more moral and civilized pantheon. In any case, his judgments, both personal and on a grand scale, are a central part of his character. He is not just a king who rules with an iron fist. He is a ruler who upholds a set of laws and morals. He is the ultimate power, the final say, and the one who ensures that the universe continues to spin in a predictable, albeit sometimes dramatic, way. You've followed the story of Zeus from his humble beginnings in a cave on Crete to his powerful throne on Mount Olympus. But the story isn't just about his personal journey, it's about the legacy he created. A legacy that has had a profound and lasting impact on our world. Greek mythology is more than just a collection of old stories, it's a foundational text for Western art, literature, philosophy, and even language. The influence of Zeus and the other Olympians is everywhere. If you know where to look, think about the words you use every day. Many of them are derived from Greek myths. The word chaos, for example, comes directly from the primordial void at the very beginning of our story. The word Atlas, which we use for a book of maps, comes from the Titan Atlas, who was condemned by Zeus to hold up the sky for all eternity. The planet Jupiter is named after the Roman equivalent of Zeus. These aren't just random words, they're echoes of a story that has been told for thousands of years. The influence of Zeus can also be seen in the very structure of our stories. The archetype of the hero's journey, the idea that a hero must leave his home, face a great trial, and return a changed person, is a central theme in many of Zeus's myths, from his own rebellion against his father to the stories of his heroic children. The idea of a flawed, powerful, and very human-like god who is both feared and respected is a common character in many stories. From fantasy novels to modern superhero movies, Zeus is the original flawed hero, the first anti-hero, and his character has been a source of inspiration for countless writers and artists. Speaking of art, the art world would look very different without Greek mythology. Countless sculptures, paintings, and plays have been inspired by the myths of Zeus and the other gods. From the majestic statue of Zeus at Olympia, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, to the countless Renaissance paintings that depict Zeus in various forms, his image has been a source of inspiration for artists for centuries. The myths are a rich tapestry of drama, passion, and betrayal, and they have provided artists with a source of endless inspiration. And what about philosophy? Greek mythology, with its themes of fate, free will, and the nature of power, has been a central topic for philosophers for centuries. The story of Prometheus, for example, is a deep and complex exploration of the relationship between man and God. And the price of knowledge, Was Prometheus a hero or a traitor? Was Zeus's punishment just or tyrannical? These are questions that philosophers have debated for centuries, and they are still relevant today. The myths are not just simple stories. They are a way to explore some of the most profound and complex questions of human existence. This is all to say that the myths of Zeus are more than just a collection of ancient tales. They are a reflection of human nature, a way to make sense of a world that is often chaotic and unpredictable. They are a story about power, family, betrayal, and love, and they have had a profound and lasting impact on our world. Historians still argue whether Greek mythology was a purely original creation or if it was heavily influenced by older Mesopotamian or Egyptian myths. But the enduring legacy of Zeus and the Olympians is undeniable. The story of Zeus is a reminder that even the most powerful beings are not perfect, and that their actions, both good and bad, have a ripple effect that touches everyone. The world he created, the world of the Olympians, is a world of drama, passion, and endless stories. It is a world that has shaped our own in countless ways. From the words we use to the stories we tell, and as you drift deeper into the night, you can feel that ancient legacy, a quiet hum in the background of a world that was born from a simple, strange, and beautiful myth. The story of Zeus is not a fairy tale that ends with happily ever after. It is a living, breathing myth that continues to shape our world in ways both big and small. You've witnessed his journey from a hidden infant to the supreme ruler of the cosmos. But his influence didn't stop there. The myths of Zeus and the other Olympians have a profound and lasting impact on our culture. From the names we give our planets to the stories we tell. This is the enduring legacy of a god who was both a king and a complicated, flawed individual. Look up at the night sky. The planets are a direct link to the Roman versions of the Greek gods. Jupiter, the largest planet in our solar system, is named after the Roman equivalent of Zeus. Venus is named after Aphrodite, and Mars is named after Ares. This is a subtle but powerful reminder that the stories of these gods are still with us, governing the very heavens we look up at. The influence of Zeus also extends to the world of sports. The Olympics, the most famous athletic competition in the world, is named after Mount Olympus, the home of Zeus and the other gods. The games were originally held in his honor, a way for mortals to pay tribute to the supreme deity. The tradition of the Olympic torch, the opening and closing ceremonies, and the idea of athletic excellence as a form of divine tribute are all a part of Zeus's enduring legacy. Even our language is filled with his influence. The word Zeus itself is a form of the Indo-European root dyeU, which means to shine or sky, reflecting his role as a sky god. Other words, like panic, which comes from the god Pan, or Herculean, which refers to the immense strength of his son, Heracles, are constant reminders of the myths that shaped our world. Historians still argue whether the Greek and Roman gods were a purely original creation or if they were heavily influenced by older Mesopotamian or Egyptian myths. But the enduring legacy of Zeus and the Olympians is undeniable. The stories of Zeus are not just tales of a powerful god. They are a reflection of human nature. They explore themes of power, family, jealousy, and betrayal in a way that is both dramatic and relatable. They show that even the most powerful beings are not perfect, and that their actions, both good and bad, have a ripple effect that touches everyone. The world he created, the world of the Olympians, is a world of drama, passion, and endless stories. It is a world that has shaped our own in countless ways. From the words we use to the stories we tell, as you drift deeper into the night, you can feel that ancient legacy, a quiet hum in the background of a world that was born from a simple, strange, and beautiful myth. The story of Zeus is a reminder that even the most powerful beings are not perfect, and that their actions, both good and bad, have a ripple effect that touches everyone. The world he created, the world of the Olympians, is a world of drama, passion, and endless stories. It is a world that has shaped our own in countless ways. From the words we use to the stories we tell,